Hello everyone, it's me, your boy, Padders96, aka Liam, and today we are going to be doing my top 10 favourite video games of all time. The top 10 I've compiled is based off my time played nostalgia, the overall story of the game, as well as the gameplay, and how much I enjoyed playing it at that moment in time or to this day. This list took me a very long time to put together, so I challenge anyone to try and compile their own top 10 list of favourite games that they may have to see if any of my games made your list or if any of your games made my list. Feel free to post that list below in the comments so I can take a look. So, take a seat, sit back, relax, grab yourself a drink and maybe a little snack, and let's get into my top 10 favourite games of all time. Number 10, Harvest Moon DS for the Nintendo DS. I played Harvest Moon DS when it first came out in 2005, a very long time ago. I didn't have too many games on my Nintendo DS at the time, and it's a game I'd seen in my local game store that really interested me. I liked the concept of it, so I gave it a go, and I wasn't disappointed. The concept of the standard Harvest Moon game is to own your own farm, grow your own crops, look after your own sheep, cows, chickens, that sort of thing, while maintaining good relationships with all the other villagers. Harvest Moon DS is slightly different, however. This game introduced the concept of harvest sprites. These are magical little fairy creatures that essentially you have to rescue because they've all been sent away to a different dimension. And then when you've rescued enough of them, you bring back the harvest goddess who's in charge of all of these little critters. The aim of the game is quite simple. Essentially, you've just got to rescue all 101 Harvest Moon sprites. This can be done by doing all sorts of different tasks, such as watering, harvesting, looking after your cattle, etc. This is a game I really enjoy going back to play, as it can be really relaxing, just playing around with your different animals and speaking to the different villagers, as well as rescuing the harvest sprites. So this is why it's my 10th favourite game of all time. Number 9. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories for the PlayStation 1. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories was one of my favourite PlayStation 1 games of all time. I can't name how many times I'd come home from school, go straight to my grandparents' house when my PlayStation 1 was, and just sit down and play this game. A fun fact, I'd never actually seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Before I even picked this game up. It was a game that was bought for me by my grandparents. I had no idea what Yu-Gi-Oh! Was at the time, had never seen the anime or played with the cards. I only knew of this game. This essentially is pretty much what started my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time. It led me into cards as well as watching the anime, so you could say I pretty much became a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan off the back of this game. The one thing I really love about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories game is the introduction of the fusion system, where you can fuse multiple cards together to make better cards. It's actually an implementation that you really need to use, especially when you come up against stronger enemies in the later game, because when you start off you don't have the best cards, so the only way you can beat the better opponents is by fusing your cards together to make better cards, stronger cards, to then defeat them to get their better cards. This game could be considered to be a grind at times, and that's what I enjoy. For any of you that know me, I really do enjoy a good grind in games. I will happily sit there and grind an enemy for multiple hours on end trying to get their prized cards, such as Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon. I recently went back and played this game and it's still as good as I remember it to be, and it's just as easy to play as it was back then. And this is why Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories has to be in my top 10. Number 8. Tekken Tag Tournament for the PlayStation 2. It's not hard to understand why Tekken Tag Tournament has made my top 10, as it's my favourite fighting game of all time. When it comes to Tekken, I know a lot of people actually prefer Tekken 3 to Tekken Tag Tournament, and actually consider Tekken 3 to be the best Tekken game of all time. Personally, I believe Tekken Tag gave us everything that Tekken 3 did, and more. It gave us greater character design, greater level design, and a host of brilliant soundtracks to complement all of those amazing levels. Arguably, the game was on PlayStation 2, whereas Tekken 3 was on the PlayStation 1, so I understand why it's certainly an improvement graphically, but I still truly believe that Tekken Tag Tournament holds its own against Tekken 3. My favourite part about Tekken Tag was the unlockable characters. There were so many unlockable characters that you could unlock, and the game didn't just reward you off the bat by giving you every single character. You had to rightfully earn these characters by playing the story over and over again. This is something that really kept me entertained and wanting to play the game over multiple times. I remember when I finally unlocked Devil Kazuya. I was so happy. I'd played the game so many times, but it was definitely worth it. Fighting games have always been hit and miss for me. Tekken Tag, I can always just pick this game up and play it no matter what, regardless if I'm going through all the characters again and starting anew, or even if I'm just playing casually through the story. I find myself at least once or twice a year getting out my PlayStation 2 and booting this game up, just so I can give it another go. Tekken Tag Tournament will always have a place in my heart. Tekken Tag Tournament was one of the very first fighting games I truly remember enjoying, that alongside Tekkens 1, 2 and 3. But Tekken Tag I certainly put the most time into, and the one I certainly most enjoyed. And this is why it had to make the top 10. Number 7. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and PC. I don't know about you guys, but there was truly no better feeling coming home from school back in 2009. That reason was purely down to this game. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is absolutely my favourite Call of Duty game of all time. I certainly couldn't track the amount of hours I invested into this game, as it'd truly be off the charts. Whether it was me quickscoping by myself or with my friends, there was always something to do on Modern Warfare 2. Looking back at it with Modern Warfare 2, I certainly never took the game seriously. I always just used to have fun with my friends. A simpler time for Call of Duty. It didn't matter if I died, regardless of how many hackers there were, regardless of how many aimbots, I still had fun because I was playing with my friends and it didn't matter. My friends would be upset with me if I didn't tell you the story of when I once 1v1'd my friend Liam on Rust. We were quickscoping and using throwing knives and he had a riot shield on his back. I threw the throwing knife at him and it hit and deflected off his riot shield. He then turned around and completely no-scoped the hell out of me. It certainly wasn't my proudest moment when I turned around to him and said, "You're certainly not coming to Alton Towers with me and the other boys." We soon made up, and he did indeed come to Alton Towers with me and my friends. Shying away from multiplayer itself, they also had Spec Ops, which I tended to play from time to time. It wasn't my favourite game mode, but the story, wow, the story for this game was absolutely incredible. It really had you on the edge of your seat. Whether you were running across the favelas, proving your skills in the pit, or crying your eyes out and pressing F to pay your respects, you know what I mean. This game had it all, and this is why it will always be my favourite Call of Duty game of all time. It just wouldn't feel right not putting this game on my top 10 list. Number 6. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for Nintendo GameCube and PC. There was 2 versions of this game released. I didn't own the Dreamcast at that time, so I didn't actually have the original Sonic Adventure 2, so I was given the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Edition with my GameCube, which I can only thank my parents for. I will certainly say, this game did test me at times. It is truly a hard game to master and complete. I didn't manage to get all the A ranks back then, but I did certainly go back a few years ago and I managed to get all of the emblems and all of the A ranks. The one thing I truly really do like about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is the difference between character stages. And what I mean by this is you've got the hero stages and the dark stages. There's 3 different types of gameplay between the characters. You've got Sonic and Shadow, which are fast-paced levels like your traditional style Sonic games. You've got Knuckles and Rouge, who are treasure hunters, and essentially you have to go around the map finding pieces of the Master Emerald. And then you've got the slow levels with Eggman and Tails, where they're in robotic mechs and you have to take out loads of enemies as you move your way through the stages. I know a lot of people actually don't like that part of Sonic Adventure 2. I recently found out that Tails actually wasn't meant to be in the game, which is really strange, because it just wouldn't make sense not having him in the game. To me, it's the perfect game by having him and Eggman do what they do. Now, the Chao. This creature has all different types of stats which you can increase by using animals that you collect throughout the levels as well as Chaos Drives. They can use these stats in different game modes like Chao Karate and Chao Races, where they race each other using all of the skills, such as the flying skill, the swimming skill and the running skill. I don't want to go into too much detail on this, as this is a top 10 and I could truly talk for hours about Chao. Going back to why it's on my top 10, again, it's a game I can just go back to and pick up at any point and just fall in love with it again and just have so much fun in doing so. It certainly is my favourite Sonic game of all time, and nothing will ever change my opinion unless they do make a Sonic Adventure Battle 3. Sega, please make this happen. But yes, this is why it has to be at number 6 on my top 10 list. Number 5, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the very first Assassin's Creed game I owned. Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 just really didn't appeal to me. I think it was because it was mainly story driven. I remember reading a Sony magazine at the time, and they advertised the multiplayer coming in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and it just absolutely blew my mind. It looks so good. So I was like, right, I've got to pester my grandparents so I can get it as a Christmas present. That year I was very fortunate to get a PlayStation 3 from my parents, so my grandparents bought me Assassin's Creed Brotherhood to go along with it. Bear in mind this was Christmas Day. The first thing I did when I opened it up, I popped it straight in my PlayStation 3 and ignored everyone for the rest of the day and played multiplayer all day with my friend Pete. To be quite honest, I had no interest in the story at the time, but never played an Assassin's Creed story, and again, 1 and 2 really hadn't appealed to me, so I wasn't that bothered. My friend Pete decided to go off, and I didn't really want to progress without him, so I was like, I'll give the story a go, we'll see what it's all about. And by God, was I wrong. That story is one of the best stories I've ever played in gaming history. It's absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend you all play it if you've never played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood's story. I'm that hooked when it comes to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I've platinumed the game on both the Standard Edition on PS3 as well as the Ezio Collection Edition on the PS4. And if you thought that was sad, it only gets worse. I then went on to do it on the Xbox 360 when I moved over to Xbox, as well as the Ezio Collection on the Xbox One. Bear in mind, on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 editions, you had to get to level 50 on multiplayer, which is really a grind in its own right. That's how much I love this game. The games that came after Assassin's Creed Brotherhood were okay. Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag were actually welcomed additions for me. After Black Flag, I lost all interest as they took the multiplayer out of the game and the story just became really convoluted. I go back to play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood every now and again because, as with most games on my top 10, I can just easily pick this game up and play it and not get bored, and that's why it deserves the number 5 spot on my top 10 list. Number 4. Minecraft Java and Bedrock editions for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, mobile and PC. Minecraft. Well, where to begin with this game? I've had Minecraft now for almost 10 years, which is crazy to think. The game came back in 2011. I believe I purchased it in 2012 during its beta phase. At that point in time, I was a big fan of a lot of the YouTubers that were playing it on YouTube. And there wasn't a lot of games out there like Minecraft. To see how Minecraft has evolved from 2011 to 2021 is absolutely crazy. I never thought in my wildest dreams that Minecraft would be able to reach the limits that it did and still does to this day. The reason why I have ranked Minecraft so highly on this top 10 list is because I keep going back to it. Whenever I'm bored or there's a game that I'm not feeling, I always go back to Minecraft, and I've realised this recently. Over the last few months I actually purchased a Realm server with a few of my friends, and we've just been playing on it casually. I say casually, but I'm definitely the one that's on it every day. But this is what I mean about Minecraft. You'll be doing one thing and it leads to another thing, which leads to another thing, and there's always something creative to do on that game. And I guess a lot of you are like me if you're watching this video. If you play a lot of video games, a lot of us are creative people. So Minecraft is just one of those games that we enjoy. Now, I'm not speaking for everyone when I say that, as I know a few people probably won't like Minecraft, and some see it as a kid's game. I, on the other hand, I see it as a building game. A pixelated building game, and it's not about the graphics, it's all about what you create using your mind and what you set your mind to, essentially. Now, the thing with Minecraft is there's two different versions. You've got Java and you've got Bedrock. Bedrock is the newer version of the two. It's essentially made for consoles and mobile devices. You can still, however, get it on PC, but most PC players tend to use the Java version. The reason most PC players tend to use the Java version is basically down to modding. You can pretty much mod Minecraft any single way you'd like by using the Java version. Some of you may know who the Yogscast are. I used to watch them all the time as a kid. And I remember downloading things like the Yogbox, which came with all these different mods, such as Tekkit. More recently, when it comes to modding, I've been playing a lot of Pixelmon. And if you don't know what that is, definitely go and check it out. It's absolutely amazing. It's essentially a Minecraft and Pokemon mix over. It's just so cool. But yes, again, I don't want to dwell on Minecraft too much because it's, again, a game that I could talk about for absolutely hours. So we really need to continue on with this top 10 list. I think Minecraft is deserved to be at my top 4 spot. I don't want to rank it any higher because I feel that the 3 games above it definitely have justified their spots as well. But Minecraft, you deserve to be top 5, top 4. Number 3. Fallout New Vegas for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and PC. So I have to start off by saying a massive thank you to my friend Judd, aka HMan964 for this one, as he is the one that initially introduced me to the Fallout franchise and Fallout New Vegas. I had no idea the game existed, and had it not been for him wanting to bring it round and play it at mine one day, I probably would have never seen it. Essentially, without giving any spoilers, you wake up not knowing what's happened, and you basically go out to solve the mystery as to where you are and why you've got no memory. From there, it just gets better and better. Compile this game with the add-on DLC content that it does have, you've got yourself an amazing FPS game. As with most Fallout games, you get 4 set endings for joining certain factions and doing certain requirements. I myself, like most of you that have played Fallout New Vegas, has done all 4 of these just because of how dedicated I am to the game. Fun fact about Fallout New Vegas, you can actually complete this game in less than 3 hours, which I have done on stream, and people have beat this game in under 20 minutes. It's pretty crazy. But when you play it for the first time, you don't rush, you take your time, you savour every single moment, because it truly is a really good game. I contemplated this actually being my top 1 game, but there was 2 games that just had better points after I wrote it all down. One thing that's certain with Fallout New Vegas is I'll play it at least once or twice a year. I always end up going back because the replay value is always there. And overall, unfortunately, Fallout New Vegas has had to settle for 3rd place, but it's a very justifiable 3rd place and it could have been higher. Number 2. Borderlands 2 for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and a PC.
No! God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Right. Just hear me out first before anyone starts to complain. For anyone that hasn't watched this channel or seen me stream over on Twitch TV at Padders96, I am an avid Borderlands 2 player. I've put thousands and thousands of hours into this game, probably in farming and killing bosses alone. And a lot of you that do watch me and follow me will certainly agree with that statement. Now, Liam, why have you not put this as the number 1 spot considering how much time alone you have spent playing this game? And truly, I really can't answer that question. For me, Borderlands 2 is such an iconic and great game. The only problem is because of how much I've played it, it started to lose its shine. And I know that sounds really harsh, but when you have played a game that many times, over and over and over again, it does start to lose a bit of value. By no means does that mean that I would put it any lower on this list. It truly deserves to be at number 2, if not for the nostalgia and the gameplay and the time that I've invested into this game. Borderlands 2 takes off after Borderlands 1. You're not meant to be here. Right, that's better. And is still set on Pandora. The aim of the game is very simple, just follow the story, make your way through, cause a lot of chaos and mayhem, go and farm yourself some of them sweet, sweet legendaries, as I have done on numerous occasions. I remember when I first played Borderlands 2, I was actually at college at the time and had played Borderlands 1. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I knew I was in for something different when I first played Borderlands 2. The feel about it was so different and the characters were just absolutely awesome. As this game is a looter shooter, obviously there's a lot of loot. Loot essentially drops from anyone or anything in this game. You could one day be walking through the Pandoric Wasteland and open up a skag pile to find yourself a legendary. Or you could be farming yourself the warrior, trying to get a volcano sniper rifle for 17 goddamn hours. The characters in this game are perfectly designed and really complement each other as you move through the story. Zero is an assassin sniper and he uses stealth. His main ability is to cast a projection of himself to confuse his enemies and then go in for the fatal blow. Salvador is a gun-crazed maniac who pulls out dual weapons, any of your choice, and just goes on an absolute rampage. Axton is a soldier in this game. He's pretty much an improvement of Roland from the first game, still has his turret. I believe he gets a second turret as well if you do spec into the right skill tree. And last but not least we have Maya the Siren, and she has the ability to be able to phase lock opponents in the air, and she can actually have some really cool healing benefits as well as elemental damage if you spec in the right skill trees. I haven't even touched on the DLC for this game yet. It's got some of the best DLC in video game history. Up until a few years ago, this game actually only ever had 4 exclusive DLC packs to add on to the game. But then Gearbox, just before Borderlands 3 came out, gave us Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary DLC, which was incredible considering we hadn't had DLC for quite a few years for this game. And personally, I never thought we would again. On top of this, they also had what was called Headhunter packs, where essentially it was a mini story that you'd follow through and you'd be able to get a head at the end of it, which is a customizable head for your character. I believe there was 5 of these in total, with the last one giving us the Son of Cormorax the Invincible, which was a really awesome raid boss to kill with your friends. As I've said with other games in this top 10, I really don't want to dwell on Borderlands 2 too much, as I truly, as with other games, could talk about this game for hours and hours and hours on end. And if you want to see something like that, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Number 1. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch and PC. Skyrim had to be number 1. It really did, and I'd like to think that Skyrim probably made the number 1 spot for some of you guys as well. The reason I actually rank Skyrim so highly is because I've completed the game 5 times, and only 5 times, but every time in doing so, I have completely shut myself off from the outside world. My Skyrim playtime isn't actually as impressive as you'd think. Even though I've completed the game 5 times, I'm probably still sub 1,000 hours, as I tend to complete the game to 100% completion and then just put it away for a bit. Whenever a new edition of Skyrim is released, or if it's released on a different platform, I tend to play it straight away. I'm really looking forward to the new Skyrim 10-year anniversary edition coming out soon, and it's certainly something I'm looking to do a series on this channel. Maybe this is the reason I've actually put it at the top as my number 1. Which some people may see as unfair, but this truly would have been 2 or 1 regardless. Skyrim is truly the perfect RPG game for me, using weapons such as axes, daggers, bows, or even using magic. This game seems to have it all. There are 2 major storyline factions. These are the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. Eventually you will have to join one of these sides to complete the game, but it's completely up to you who you pick, and it pretty much goes down to the wire. The cities in Skyrim are actually either affiliated to the Imperials or the Stormcloaks. So whichever city you tend to go to will have guards from either faction pretty much stationed there. During the game, certain cities you will be able to change their influence from an Imperial to a Stormcloak leader, or a Stormcloak leader to an Imperial leader. There's just so much choice to do when it comes to the main story in this game. One of my favourite memories of playing Skyrim when I first got it was killing my first dragon. I think at the time all I had pretty much was just a standard bow and arrow, and I was panicking like mad. For anyone that knows where this first battle takes place, there's a little tower nearby, and I pretty much just camped it out, taking pot shots wherever I could. But after I killed the dragon, the sense of release was unbelievable, and it really just made me want to play this game even more. There's also loads of side factions in Skyrim. You've got the likes of the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, the Companions, and even some would consider the College of Winterhold to be their own faction. All of these tend to have their own storylines as side quests within the main game. And this is what keeps you playing for hours and hours on end. I also don't want to forget the DLC for this game. It's absolutely fantastic. These DLCs being Dawnguard, Pathfire and Dragonborn. These are all absolutely amazing DLCs, and I highly recommend you play Skyrim and these DLCs if you haven't already. Ultimately, all of this added up together is the reason I have put Skyrim at number 1. I truly love this game to bits, and I'm really looking forward to playing it again for the 10-year anniversary edition. So, there it is, my top 10 games of all time. I have no doubt this list will most likely change within time, as it has changed before. With the amount of games coming out in the future, I'm pretty certain one of them will make my top 10 eventually. I do apologise for rambling on so much for certain games, but there's just so much information I wanted to share with you guys regarding my backstory of how I first came across the game and how much I played it. As I said at the start of this video, if you have your own top 10 list or could compile one, please feel free to post it below in the comments so I can see if one of your games has made my list or if one of my games has made your list. As this video did take quite some time to make, it certainly would be appreciated if you enjoyed the video to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. I also do stream on Twitch TV as well, at Padders96, so feel free to go and check me out over there. As it stands, I'm not streaming too much at this moment in time, but I'm pretty certain that will change. And I really do hope to make more videos like this for you in the future. So as always folks, I've been Padders96, aka Liam, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, goodbye.